no survivors. By cold light of day, the agony of Flight 5342. The American Airlines jet was on its way from Wichita in Kansas at 8:48 p.m. on Wednesday night and was just moments from landing in Washington, D.C. when disaster fell. This footage shows the plane approaching the runway at Ronald Reagan Airport, and to the left, a helicopter can be seen flying directly towards it. Seconds later, the two collide and both plummet into the freezing water below. US military Black Hawk saw the plane to its left as it flew low along the riverbank, but we do know from audio recordings that air traffic control told the helicopter to fly round the incoming plane moments before the collision.
Yeah, we can do 33 for 6342. Runway 33 for flat.
They call out to the Army helicopter, asking it to pass behind the plane.
Pass 25, get the CRJ in flight. Pass 25, pass behind the CRJ.
Then the helicopter collides with the plane.
Did you see that? 472.
Superior intelligence, and it was a job that had to be superior intelligence, and we didn't really have that, and we had it. And then when I left office and Biden took over, he changed them back to lower than ever before. I put safety first. Obama, Biden, and the Democrats put policy first, and they put politics at a level that nobody's ever seen, because this was the lowest level. Their policy was horrible, and their politics was even worse.
Sean Bell, who's here with us, former military pilot, his expertise on what we think happened last night. Sean, great to have you with us, and good afternoon to you. So look, how did the passenger jet change its flight path last night?
Yeah, good afternoon, Kamali. I mean, first of all, our sympathy. 64 civilians, 3 military have perished in this, what looks like a very, very tragic accident. It's interesting that you look at the factors. The weather looks absolutely fine. There's no reason weather factors. It's happened in one of the most congested air control areas in the world, so there's massive control. Nobody moves without following a clear procedure. It's all designed to stop these sort of accidents happening. So the real question is, why it happened and how it happened. What we do know is that the main runway here, it's not quite orientated properly, but that's the main northerly runway. So the American Airlines aircraft, as all of the others, would have been coming to land there and then taking off in this direction. Meanwhile, the Nighthawk would have been operating its way. Sorry, Black Hawk would have been operating its way down the Potomac here. Now, as the pilot of the Black Hawk, he'd have thought all of the civilian traffic is to the north of me, leaving or arriving. What happened just before this accident, though, was the American Airlines aircraft was on approach down here, was suddenly asked, could he take the shorter runway, which is the runway here? He said he could. So therefore, rather than going straight along that line, he diverted down to the south to get himself onto a lineup for that runway there. All of that, of course, would have put him on a direct collision course. Now, that sounds awful, but the whole part of procedural is that they may well have been crossing. In fact, the two dots on the radar would have absolutely superimposed themselves, but they should have been height deconflicted, because that way you can guarantee they'll never hit each other. Now, an airline will eventually go through 200 feet, the height at which the helicopter was, but it'll do it really close to the runway, and the helicopter should be nowhere near that. So the fact remains is that somehow this helicopter, because the collision happened at 400 feet at about 150, 160 miles an hour. The question is, what was the helicopter doing at that height? And frankly, it doesn't look very survivable, and that's why it doesn't surprise me that they've called off the search now.
Just